Our next speaker, Jacques Shaw, works at CEA and has continually pushed the boundaries of high-performance storage, starting, I don't even know when, maybe I'll let you kind of talk about when that all began. But yeah, so very, very large DDN customer, very large site-wide Lustre deployment, or a number of very large Lustre deployments, and I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, good afternoon. So I will cover our Lustre configuration at CEA and also the development we make around the file system and storage in general. So the computing centers of CEA, we have 3 computing centers. We have a classified computing center, which is dedicated to defense program. We have an open computing center, and we also have kind of research or experimental computing center. This one is a production computing center in which you can find the press machine that we are going to install at the end of the year. The first step is install, the next step, the petaflop system will be at the end of the year. And so these 2 systems are peta class, peta size and class system. And the experimental one is much more smaller. And all the development we made is done on this experimental computing center. So just a roadmap of our production system. So as you can see, this is the first cluster we made. Previously we had the Cray machine, vector machine. And starting from here we had an history of clusters. So this is Terra 100, which is the first petaflop system we have, and the press system, which is called Curie, that will be delivered at the end of the year. And here you can see all the kind of, I would say, physics or codes we run on our systems. So we quite cover almost all we can do in simulation. So these 3 computing centers have the same kind of architecture. So we have computing systems. So this second example is the Terra system, Terra Computing Center, so the classified one. So you have the petaflop supercomputer, on which we attach some storage. So in that case, it's 5 petabytes of DDN SFA for a bandwidth of 300 gigabytes per second. We also have a shared storage of 15 petabytes of a Lustre file system. This is one Lustre file system, this is another one. And this one is migrated to some archival, so some storage on tapes, which is made with HPSS. We have two networks, so this is something that's a little bit special for us, that we have a standard 10 gig network for all TCP/IP traffic, but we have a dedicated network for storage, which is InfiniBand today, but can evolve to another technology. And it's a network used only to move data between the compute machine, the post-processing clusters, and the storage system. So the next system, so I have covered the today's system, and this is a slide that shows what we want to do for the next system. So this is high-level numbers. This is the target. So we will try to get this. It's not sure. So the target is a 30 petaflop system that will be delivered around 2014, 2015. And the first goal is to have no internal storage, no more storage in the machine. Maybe we will have some kind of local file system, but we try to get this local file system served by remote storage. So only a big pool of shared storage. So the global storage will have a bandwidth around 5 terabytes per second. And in fact, the size is around 100 petabytes, but the size is not very, very important. It's more the bandwidth which is important. We think we will have a heterogeneous architecture, so a mix of flash disk for bandwidth and rotating disk for capacity. And we will use Lustre. but with a different way we use it today. So one example is that we want to have the internal data migration, because we want to have a single file system over all this storage, and we want to have Lustre moving data from the flash to the disk. So use the disk as the flash as a cache in front of rotating disk. We can do it, this kind of things we are doing it, I would say, by hand today with our own tools, moving data between Lustre file system, but we want for the next system to have it done by Lustre itself. The other change is that we want to move to embedded model. So the model you can find in the SFA-E model, I think it's a TE. So in which you run the servers, the file servers in the RAID controller. So this is a short view of what we want to, where we want to go. And now I will go to the development we are doing in a storage area. So most of the development we made, we want to use it for 3 reasons. The first reason is to improve file system management. So typically we want to have a tool to help dealing with Lustre in particular. And the second objective is to improve data access. So the example is when you want to use your data set from a machine that does not support Lustre or on which you do not want to put Lustre, you need something. So it's why we have done Ganesha, so an NFS file server. And also we want to improve data management inside Lustre. So I will cover the OST pools and HSM. So another important thing is that all the development we made over Lustre or in Lustre are used on production of our systems. So the first one, Shine. So Shine is a Lustre administration tool. So you have the source, where you can find the source. So the idea of this project is to manage all the Lustre file system lifecycle with a simple command line command. With the Shine tool has the configuration of your hardware and is able to format your file system, to give the status, to start all the clients, load the module, check everything, start the routers you need in Lustre. So all the configuration of Lustre, you can do it from a single point of management. And this tool is based on a parallel, this is cluster shell, so it's a remote parallel command execution library, which has a tree-based architecture, so that allows you to start many commands, the same commands on many nodes, and to have a synthetic result. So typically, if all the nodes give the same result, you just have the name, some information, starting node, ending node, and the result. So when you have, in our case, we have more than 4,000 of nodes, it's very useful to have this kind of synthetic summary of our execution. And also to have the tree, with the tree-based architecture, we are very fast to start, for example, just to start the file system, you have a single command that sends the mount over the 4,000 nodes, and a few seconds later you have file system up. No more time than starting a single node. And also, but the architecture is fully event-based. That means that with this kind of architecture, it's, you can break things, you can monitor what happens, you get some kind of progression. If your command is long, you have a kind of progression information saying that this node are going to drop, this other node not yet finished. So the second tool that we use to manage Lustre is Robinhood. So Robin is a file system management tool. So what it do, it monitors the file system, it has rules to decide action, and after it takes the action. So it is not specific to Lustre. It's a very generic tool, but he is, I would say, Lustre aware. That means that, for example, he is able to manage striping of Lustre, this kind of information. For example, one example, when you want to make a purge in some file system, you want to purge the OST that are most field and not any kind of OST. So Robinhood is able to do this kind of things. So Robinhood has 2 ways to work. The first is a classical scan, POSIX scan of the file system. So it's not the fastest one, but it works with any file system. But with all the file systems that are event-based, it's the case of Lustre 2.0 with the changelog, but also GPFS with the DM API. You are able to fill a database in Robinhood, and after all the access to the metadata information of your file system are done through this database. So for example, you can have an immediate replay, just for example, requesting all the files from one user. I want to see all the files of this user. Just go to the database, SQL request, and you get the information. So one of the examples is that we use it to trigger purges on depending, for example, of the age of file or the owner of the file. We also use it in Lustre HSM, so a project that will allow us to empty HSM, empty Lustre to an external storage. So I will cover it later. And we also have policy based on file attribute and threshold, for example, file system field. So the next one is Ganesha. So I've covered the two Lustre specifics or two file system specific data management. So this in file system management, this is to cover the interface. So when we want to use our data set out of a Lustre file system, so we have developed our own NFS file server. It's a user space application which is highly multi-threaded. Use lots of memory cache. For example, all the namespace of your namespace can be in memory cache. So you have a very fast file system. And it supports all the version of NFS. So now even the latest one, which is the V4.1, is supported. And the architecture of this software is to have to rely on independent backend. So we have a backend specific to Lustre, which is used the feed. So feed is a kind of interface. It's like it's a field API, so you can access the files not by the path name, but by the kind of inode. You can imagine some kind of inode interface over a file system. So Lustre is covered. There is also but it's under development. There is in the latest kernel of Linux, you have some kind of VFS under interface that is available now. So we have a prototype running on this interface. So any file systems accessible through the VFS Linux interface will be able to interface with Ganesha. We also have a POSIX interface, but it's not the fastest. We have I would say the old one, which is the initial interface we have for this product, because initially, before we use it over Lustre, it was designed initially to use it in front of HPSS. And we're going to cover any other database interface. So the development part of this project is mainly to work over PNFS and to implement a PNFS server with this product. So the first idea is to export Lustre to have not only a sequential NFS access to Lustre, but to be able to have a parallel access to Lustre through NFS. So now I will cover the different developments we have inside Lustre. So I said internal, because all the other developments are they are not totally independent of Lustre because they rely on some Lustre feature, but they are not delivered with Lustre. These developments are done really in Lustre code. So the first thing we are working on is working on Lustre 2.0, I would say plus, because we have on production our two systems. We have Lustre 2.0 and we have a production of 100 terabytes per day on the classified machine. And it's really a production system with 2.0. And it's really stable with SFA hardware. And we have no major issue on this. We have bugs, but we have corrected them, and now it's okay. We have developed Lustre restiples. So if you compare, it's exactly the same thing that you have in GPFS in the previous talk. And this was landed in Lustre 1.8 something, maybe 1.8.0. And the last project we are working on, which is much more important than this one, is Lustre HSM. I will do that now. So it's still an ongoing project. That means it's not landed in Lustre. But we have working prototypes that works with POSIX backends or HPSS. So Lustre HSM, what is the idea? The idea is to bind Lustre to an external storage, so to have to be able to remove data out of Lustre. You keep the namespace in Lustre, remove the data out of Lustre, and you put the data outside in some external storage. So for this project, we had to develop multiple features. So this was done in collaboration, and it's still done in collaboration with Lustre developers. So initially it was CFS, after Sun, after Oracle, but it's still the same people, and now we're working with OneCloud. And so one of the features that was developed was a changelog. So this is a mechanism that is used also by Robinhood just to be informed of what changed. For example, when the file is changed in your file system, you get an event saying this file has changed. So that's to avoid the scanning in all the file system. We have implemented a new locking mechanism or locking feature, not mechanism, locking features. It's a layout lock that protects the layout of your file. Because if you want to remove data out of Lustre after your file is without any layout, and you need protection if you want to not have an issue with the client using the old layout or do not seeing the new layout. And the other feature is that's a biggie version. That's not candidate for 2.1, that's candidate for 2.2, because 2.1 will be closed now. So the file release is a mechanism to purge a file, to remove the content of a file. And we also developed some new Lustre actors, which is a coordinator, which is a kernel thread or multiple kernel threads that coordinate all the data movement between Lustre and the external storage. So for example, to guarantee that you will bring back only one time a file, even if you have 4,000 nodes requesting the file, it will be bring back only one time. Agents are a new feature on some clients that are able to start the copy tools, and the copy tools are the interface between Lustre and the external storage. So it's a user space command, and the agent is the node that runs this copy tool. And the copy tool that cover it. The tools that cover external storage. So just to give you a view of what happened. So for example, in case of a restore, the client accesses the file. So you can imagine the file has no more data because it's in the release state. So the client accesses the file, the MDS discovers this release state, requests the coordinator to bring back the file, asks the agent reads the file, bring it back to the client to the OSS, and after releasing the logs, the client gets the information of the file. So this is totally transparent for this client. And in the design, one also important point is that we want to this glue, so this interface between the external storage and Lustre will be completely independent of Lustre and in user space. So we are able to support any kind of, I would say, external storage. Just have to write a simple command line tool that will move data. And we provide some examples also. So the copy tools we have today, so the copy tools only use POSIX on one side and some library, Lustre library code, so it's a very light tool. So we have done one specific to HPSS, that's called directly the HPSS API. It's available to all HPSS sites. It's not open source because only HPSS sites are allowed to have some kind of the sources. In the long time ago, there was some project of Sun to do some SAM-QFS copy tool. We have no more news on this since Oracle acquisition, so but maybe they are still working. The second one, which is more, it's close to be done, is the DMF version of the copy tool, on which SGI is working, and we plan to have some test bed before the end of the year with another French lab, CINES, inside the European project. So we will demonstrate this SGI copy tool with Lustre HSM at the same time. So about Lustre on our side, so you understand that Lustre is very critical for us because it's the data center is a completely data-centric architecture. So it's very critical for us to have a working Lustre and an efficient Lustre. So if you want to have more news on Lustre, you can bring, you are invited to come to the UFS breakfast on Wednesday, free breakfast, and you will see how the Lustre community was recently organized to have a single voice and to be stronger than we were in the past. And also you can come to the box we are doing with Eric Barton, the next speaker, from OnePool, in which we want to discuss with end users about exascale file system and Lustre and what we can do on this. That's all I have. So if you have any questions.
So at Indiana we got HPSS. We would be really interested in the HPSS copy tool. Is that available?
So the HPSS copy tool, it's not the issue, it's working today. So before, I would say, before September, October, we can provide you some kind of table of working version, but it will not be integrated in the server, so it's just to see. It's a kind of prototype. But we want to have this code landed in Lustre before sending to everybody, because it's the only way to have something supported and efficient. But we want to have some demonstration before September, October. We have something running already, and we are doing stress tests to see and to find bugs. So if you have, well, you can find my email on the internet, or you give me a card or something.
Jacques, so the 15 and the 5 petabyte storage clusters you have, are they all single file systems as well?
Which?
The 15 petabyte and the 5 petabyte storage
Yes.
systems you have, are those both single file systems?
Yes, it's a single one.
And the 15 petabyte is a secondary file system, or how does that work?
It's a secondary file. It's a 200 gigabyte per second file system, so it's used in front of the archival system. So it's the one in which we'll put Lustre HSM.
And you back either of those up? You back them up?
Back them up in HPSS.
Okay.
So it's more migration used as backup than classical backup. So the data quickly goes to, so the 300 gigabyte per system is more like a